Hey folks, and welcome to the Did You Know podcast weekly wrap up. This is going to be the very first one that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a weekly segment from now on. It's going to go out on Fridays, and this is kind of part of my sponsorship that I'm going to be running with eToro, and that we're just going to kind of go over news of the week that relates to the podcast, especially the Bitcoin space. So this is going to be a learning experience for both of us. So I'm going to be recording this. Actually, I don't actually usually record my episodes video wise, but you can go to YouTube and watch this if you'd like to instead of listening to it. So it's up to you. For those of you listening, if you'd rather watch it, just head over to didyouknowcrypto.com, click on the YouTube link, and you'll get taken right there. So, like I said, this is going to be done in part with my sponsorship with eToro. So if you don't know who eToro is they are a wonderful and just a superb and for Bitcoin space is really kind of a historic trading site. They predate Bitcoin, and they offer a lot of really, really neat stuff. So for Bitcoin fans, it can be hard to find a place where you can, if you're wanting to trade and buy and sell Bitcoin, where you can trade and plan, discuss strategy, kind of learn ways to do it. I personally, don't trade a lot, but I'm, always open to learn a lot of, different new ways to earn Bitcoin, and trading is a great way to do that. And if you're wanting to trade, you really need to learn how to do it correctly. You need to study under people who know how to do it. And eToro is a great place. It's kind of almost a social media community of traders. And this is kind of a place where you can do all these things, trade plan, discuss the strategy. And actually Europe has had this platform that, you can do all that sort of stuff for a very long time. And it's called eToro, my sponsor, and it's the world's #1 social trading platform. And not only does it give you access to the most popular crypto assets on the market, but its virtual trading and discussion features let you discuss and test strategies with a community of over 11 million other traders. And guess what? They're now available in the United States, right? The majority of my listeners are in the United States. It's about 90% actually. I'm hoping to actually grow a little bit more worldwide, but those who have been outside of the United States have been able to access eToro this entire time, but now all of us in the U.S. are actually able to. I tried to actually a couple years ago, and because I'd heard good things, but I tried to log in and it was like, geo-block. I could not get in there because I'm U.S., but now you can. They offer the smartest trading tools and the ability to connect with the best traders around the world. And they have very transparent trading fees, and they're really, really low. And it's easy to use in their app. So if you want to get started, just go to eToro.com. Or what I'd really appreciate is if you guys would go to didyouknowcrypto.com/eToro. That's didyouknowcrypto.com/ETORO. If you go there, it'll direct you to my affiliate link. But I'm not doing that specifically because I want, there's a little bit of a kickback for money. But what it really does is it tells, that's how they're measuring my metrics. And that's how they're telling how many people am I sending that way. So if you're going to sign up for eToro, if you've been thinking about signing up for eToro, just learning how to trade or wanting to buy and sell Bitcoin and just kind of see how to trade, go to didyouknowcrypto.com/ETORO. And they've got some really, really interesting stuff. So they've got 15 of the most popular digital currencies. They also have, regular stock and market trading. They have real-time prices, stats, and news. You can really, it's very simple to track your portfolio and your trading positions and instantly know your profit and loss by total portfolio and individual assets. So just a little bit of history. They were founded in 2007, which is even before Bitcoin was even released. They've been doing Bitcoin and other crypto-related trading since 2013. Like we said, there's over 10 million users. There's over 20 million crypto transactions, and 140 countries are supported. So they have very low fees, low commission or no commissions. They have no minimum fees, no hidden fees at all, and they've got some really cool stuff. So one of the things I really think is cool is the virtual trading, and this allows you to try it out. So if you're new to trading, don't just go jumping in, right? It would be better for you to learn. Don't get FOMO. Don't think that you have to initially, you scrape together a few $1,000s or whatever. You took 10 grand out of your retirement funds or whatever. Don't go and just start trading if you don't know what you're doing. eToro offers some very innovative things. Virtual trading is my favorite thing I think that they offer with their copy trading. Probably may supplant that here in just a little bit, but that's coming out very soon. Virtual trading allows you to create virtual profiles, and you can hone your own strategies. You can test out other people's strategies that you may be learning. So you can get 100 grand in virtual money, and you can trade all these digital assets, and test your strategies, test, am I reading the charts right? Am I doing all this stuff? Whatever it may be that you're a little bit weak on, you can test it there. And that way, if you, are consistently making money and it's working, then you know that your strategy is good. You can start to ease that into your actual money. If you're losing money, that's a better way to lose virtual money. This helps you turn bad trading into good trading. They also have copy trading. This is going to be very cool. So you can look at top-based traders and look at their past performances, their risk scores, and you can allocate portions of your funds to copy their trades. This is going to be coming out here probably in the next, I believe it's 30 to 60 days. And actually, if you get very good and become a popular trader, and you'll get, if people are copying your trades, you can actually earn extra income. So you'll actually get a percentage of the amount of money that people put towards you, right? So if somebody has like $100,000 or whatever, you'll get a portion of that total money that they are investing, kind of almost as if you're a hedge fund in a way, but kind of a virtual independent hedge fund, I guess, of individuals that are trading on there. So if you get really good, you can actually make money off of people just copying what you do. And it's got more currency. It's better than Coinbase. It's better than Robinhood. It's got more features. And I really think you guys are going to love it. So head over to didyouknowcrypto.com/eToro. That's ETORO. And I think you guys are going to really like it. And I'm going to start introducing a little bit of some videos of me playing around with it here soon. So head over there and show some love. So let's now go over to the news of the week. So the biggest news of the week is probably going to be the INX Token thing that came out. I believe it was Mike Dudas over at the block who released, and let me look, and you'll have to, this will be very much Joe Rogan-y, but I will be Jamie and Joe Rogan, so you'll hear a little bit of typing here. So let's look and see what this originally was. So the crypto trading platform INX is going to be a trading platform, and it's going to be it's raising 130 million through a security token IPO registered with the SEC, but it is going to be tokenized is the thing. And this was, I know that Mike is, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other on the man. I don't have enough personal experience with him to really feel that, one way or the other. So, these things change as you start to get more into a lot more discussions with these people. But I know there's some hard feelings. But anyways, I can't find it. But it was revealed in the SEC filings that, let's look here. There was, people like Fluffy Pony, Charlie Lee, Samson Mao. Let's look here as well. Elena Voronova of you know her from Trezor, and now over at Casa. Samson Mao. I think I already said. Oh, why is he on here twice? But anyways, doesn't matter. Jameson Lopp as well, and they are listed on here as investors. Although, let's look here. So it was 250,000 at, what's it, 1 cent per token? Oh, so we're talking like $1,500 to $2,500. It looks like that was being raised. I don't know. That seems low, but anyways. Oh, invested amount in dollars. Oh, so these. Elena, Jameson, and Sampson are advisory board members who are given like basically $1,500, $2,500 worth of tokens, and then looks like Sampson invested about $100,000. Fluffy Pony about, oh gosh, almost $1 million. Wow, that's quite a bit. Charlie about $102,000. But anyway, so this made a big splash, and my initial reaction was to be quite disappointed, I guess, in a way, in the way that some of these people, their public pronouncements and so, like Fluffy Pony and Charlie Lee are not necessarily, obviously not Bitcoin maximalists because they work on Litecoin and Monero. But in terms of their opinions on Ethereum, a lot of these folks are very much against these, Ethereum and what it does and what it stands for, and just kind of the concept of tokenization as well as a lot of these assets. And so it was quite disappointing to see people, especially like Samson, who blocked me on Twitter a while ago, and I don't feel one way or the other about him, but especially him, who's taken such a maximalist line per se. And so I was very disappointed and just kind of tweeted about the hypocrisy of it and things like that. And I still do feel it is hypocritical in a way, especially that it's an ERC20 token and all this kind of stuff. But I was talking with some folks. I'm not going to name them. It's not like I'm trying to name drop or be cryptic, pun intended, about this. But a little bit more discussion, put a little bit more context on it. This is a couple years ago, and this was before Jameson kind of became more of a Bitcoin-only guy, and some of the other folks have definitely not always been Bitcoin-only. But the real sticking point for me, and I kind of loosened up a little bit on my kind of outrage of this whole deal, but a little bit, but I do still feel it's a little bit goofy. And especially, you can't, to bash Ethereum as being a junk project and to bash tokenized assets per se, in general as being junk, excuse me, and then go and participate in an ERC20 token. Yes, it's an IPO. It's not necessarily an ICO. But if you're going to do an IPO, I think it was Mr. Hodl and some other folks that brought up then, if it's going to be an IPO, a registered security, you don't need a token then. You have a legal agreement, and you can literally just have this on a ledger, on a physical ledger. There's no value add for having it as a token dispersion or anything like that. So, anyways, that was kind of the bigger news, and so we had a few other things. Of course, we had the price movements. Dipped below 10,000, and let's see, the 100-day Bitcoin's defense. I'm looking at the CoinDesk article. Bitcoin's defense of the 100-day moving average and a bullish divergence indicates a scope for a minor price bounce at 10,300, and there's still expected drops maybe down into the nines. But it just kind of depends on what your outlook is and where your focus is on in your investments, right? Personally, I've gone from being a multi-coiner type of person to really only thinking that the only thing of value and long-term value in this space is going to be Bitcoin. And that could change. That's where I diverge a little bit with maximalists in that I'm still open to the concept that there is other assets that could be of value. Or I guess the individuals investing in INX Token believe so as well. But I am open to it. But I believe that the meme value, the philosophical value of Bitcoin, and I think that there's inherent um, nature of Bitcoin that no other token has, that no other coin or token can get. And if you are looking for long-term value in Bitcoin, then if you're looking that Bitcoin will have a longer-term higher value, then it makes sense to hold. If you are learning how to trade, if you're good at it, if you have good risk tolerance, then you can absolutely make more Bitcoin and more money over time trading. So it's just something I don't do. I did a little bit in 2017. It turned out that I needed a lot more practice to really be successful at it. And it's just something that I don't personally do because I have so much other stuff going on that it's very difficult for me to divert, get the amount of time that I need to really do that. So, Bitcoin, has been holding within the $9,000 to $10,000 range, which is still quite good. And we'll see what the rest of the year has for it. To me, when you start to play around with the concept of having a long-term view of Bitcoin, then the price movements in the short term have less panic for you. And you should never be, whether you're trading or hodling or whatever you're into and whatever you do with it, you should never be exposed to the point and be taking risks to the point where, these big price drops that are going to happen cause you to have a heart attack, right? Then you need to reevaluate your risk. Another news thing for this week was Patrick Byrne. He's the CEO of Overstock. He's been a big Bitcoin advocate for a lot of years. And he was it was basically, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was it 2013 or 2014? I'm trying to remember when Overstock started to take Bitcoin payments, and it was the first big company. And that them doing that in particular kind of taught me about the clickbaity news cycleness in Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin news space, which has gotten better. But anytime that there's I remember back when Bakkt was announced, and Bakkt's going to allow Starbucks is going to start taking Bitcoin and Litecoin. That was not the case at all. They were going to implement a system that would allow you to pay through that system with Litecoin, but to Starbucks it just looks like you're paying with cash, right? And people jump up and down and say, oh well, mass adoption is right around the corner, right? Well, I remember the same things being said when Overstock was first announced this, oh well, Overstock's doing it next, everybody's going to be coming to do that. And we have to remember that this is a very slow grind, and these things, these big jumps where we're talking about with adoption, I think is one of those. I believe it was Ernest Hemingway that said, I can't remember the context, but that it happens slowly then all at once. And I think that's the way that we're going to kind of look back at, and we're going to be in the middle of it. If you're in Bitcoin, we're going to be in the middle of it. You don't see it, right? It's the same way as like raising kids. You don't really see how much they're growing on the day to day. And as a father, I really relate to this. But when you look back at a video that was like 2-3 years ago, which is really not that much time, it's crazy to see how much change has happened. That's what we're going to be doing. We're not going to realize how much jumps that we're making until afterwards, right? Next story, U.S. Treasury blacklist Bitcoin Litecoin addresses of Chinese drug kingpins. So OFAC, which is the Office of Foreign Asset Control, the part of the U.S. Treasury Department, they are the ones that have anything to do with kind of a lot of the AML, anti-money laundering stuff that we have to do. Is due to OFAC. And so when you go to Coinbase, right, and you have to take a picture of your ID and send that in, they're checking it against OFAC lists. Make sure that you're not somebody that's being listed as a terrorist or international drug dealer or something like that. And they have sanctioned 3 Chinese nationals, and I love these stories, right? When they did this not too long ago with some known Iranian ones. So they've sanctioned 3 Chinese nationals and their cryptocurrency addresses, alleging they violated money laundering and drug smuggling laws. So if they are narcotics traffickers and drug kingpins, as they've been accused of, then more than likely they are engaging in money laundering, because you can't just go to the bank and say, oh yeah, no, I'm a drug kingpin. That's my business, right? But this just shows that what we are still seeing is, and it's good. It's good for Bitcoin when we see old solutions being applied to new technologies. Sometimes it hinders, sometimes it just shows how ineffectual that these systems are. And trying to blacklist, like, these, these sorts of regulatory agencies, they move very slow. They have immense power, and it's like an old millstone, right? It grinds slowly, but it grinds very fine. And you need to be very, those of us, you need to be very careful about uh, not falling afoul of any of these things. But of course, but you know, anybody who has been in Bitcoin for more than a couple weeks will know. Okay, so let's just say if I was a drug dealer, it's not like I publish these, so it's going to be addresses that they've, from other people that they've rounded up and said, where did you send your Bitcoin to, to pay your boss, and they're going to show, X address. All these guys are going to have to do is just start it, like they just create a brand new one. It takes that much. Now that all this work is totally useless. So it just kind of shows that whether that these are either they understand that this is ineffectual and they're just doing it as a show of force, or they really don't understand how ineffectual these sorts of things are. So it's always interesting to see. It's really interesting to see these sorts of things. So, I mean, I'm looking at these, like, at these addresses, and let's look how much they've. One has received 99 Bitcoin, 108 Bitcoin, 15 Bitcoin. It's just very 6 Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin. Like, it's not, these are not major addresses or anything like that. This is pretty funny. Oh, here's a Litecoin address. Received a whole Litecoin. Wow. Quite a wow. Yeah, quite a drug kingpin there. So, anyways, it's just one of these interesting stories. There's another one. So, the Miles reward tokenization continues. So Miller Lite teams with a blockchain firm for customer engagement games. So Miller Lite is a popular beer brand for those of you who may not be in the United States, from the U.S. brewer Miller Coors, and they teamed up with a blockchain marketing company for the Know Your Beer program. And they're building mobile edutainment games, and they're serving 12-question quiz to cell phones, geo-targeting customers in over 230,000 bars across the U.S. Players answering all 12 questions correctly get a $5 prize that can be used to purchase Miller Lite. 10,000 prizes will be paid out over PayPal in the campaign that runs until September. It's just it's using non-fungible tokens within the game to then be turned in to be paid out over PayPal. I don't. You don't need a blockchain for this. You absolutely don't need a blockchain for this. You could do this on through a Facebook ad, and existing marketing technologies. It's just this is buzzwords, and I'm not throwing shade on Vadim Labs and what they're doing. It's if they're able to land an account like Miller Lite, then they must know their job and must do very well with what they're doing. But this is just the problem of thinking that that blockchain, if you just put everything on a blockchain, it'll be fine. Can you run a non-fungible token for rewards programs? Absolutely. But do you need a blockchain for it? No. Like the main point of doing some sort of tokenized value, right, of having value on a blockchain, is so that you can secure it with proof of work, so that you can solve the double spend problem. You don't have to worry about people going around and using the same valued token or coin over and over and over again. If you're going to be doing, and I'm guessing this is just a permissioned blockchain or some ERC20 token or something along those lines, it's unnecessary. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to add the complexity of an ERC20 token, of paying the gas on Ethereum and all that, when you can just run this thing through a traditional marketing campaign, geo-targeting Facebook users, geo-targeting Snapchat. Well, Snapchat skews younger. You wouldn't want to do that. So Facebook, Instagram would probably be the best one because those are going to be the 20 to 50-year-olds who are probably going to be, and really Miller Lite. Miller Lite is probably going to even skew older, so it'd probably be even better on Facebook because Facebook skews much older. And unless you're trying to get a younger demo by giving them out prizes, so that might be their strategy as well. But anyways, you could do all this on existing technologies. Like, you don't need to do this. The reason Bitcoin is, as actually started to make, get inroads and grow from a niche of cypherpunks to political activists to just average mom and pop. And though it's relatively quite small, really, in the scheme of things, the reason it did is because it filled a need, this need for a non-centralized money. And nobody was going, I wish that, my Pepsi, if you guys remember Pepsi points, right? You'd drink Pepsis, and on the labels, there would be like a Pepsi point around 220 ounces. There was like 2 or 3 Pepsi points. You would cut these out, and you'd cut these out, and with that, you'd send them in to get prizes and things like that. And hold on, just one second here. And you take these Pepsi points. Sorry, those. I'm recording, so this podcast is done in my basement, and I've made these mobile. These are actually on wheels. These little. I don't know if you can see this on the camera here. So let's see if you can. If you see a little bit here, I built like these 2x4s, 2x3s, and then I filled them with acoustic foam and stuff. And this way, it kind of quiets it all down for whenever I'm doing the podcast. And usually I do it at a time of night when my kids are asleep and everybody kind of gets quiet upstairs while I'm doing this, but they're actually setting up for our birthday party tomorrow. So there's some chairs getting scraped, and I didn't know if that was picking up on the mic. So anyways, that's why I stopped there for a second. But anyways, go back to Pepsi points. Pepsi points where you'd cut them out, you collect them up, and you would send them in. You could get like a hacky sack for like 20 Pepsi points and beach towels and all this other kind of stuff. And I remember my cousin, one of the summers they were doing, we would go around in the morning, and when I was visiting my cousins in Wisconsin, we'd go around to all the recycling bins or all the trash bins, and we'd find all the Pepsi bottles, and we cut out the Pepsi points, and I had like hacky sacks and some other stuff I can't remember. But to digress for a little bit further, there was at one of the commercials, it was all this stuff, and then at the end, this Harrier, which is a Royal Marine Corps from the British and the U.S. Marine Corps both use it, and it's a jet fighter, but it can vertical takeoff and landing. It can go up and down. It doesn't need a runway. It only needs a very short runway. It can take off and then kind of go off. But anyways, it landed in the commercial and said 1 million Pepsi points, right? But there was no, and this is why you always see these things in commercials now, that'll fine print at the bottom, right, or whatever. And with these rewards programs, you'll also notice whenever you look at these sorts of things, they'll say like can be redeemed for or it has to actually have a cash value, so it's like 1/1000th of a cent. And Pepsi points also offered with no maximum that you could buy Pepsi points for like $1 a point or 50 cents a point or something like that. And this guy, so like if you had 50 Pepsi points, but you need 55 to get the thing that you wanted, you could send in the 50 Pepsi points at $5, and then they'd send it to you. Well, this guy goes, and I don't remember if it was $1 Pepsi point or whatever, and he buys 1 million Pepsi points, gets them, goes to Pepsi immediately and says, "I want my Harrier," and they laughed at, like, ha ha ha, like this, yeah, funny. That was just in the commercial, buddy. But he persisted. And obviously, Pepsi cannot buy a military tactical aircraft completely outfitted, as shown in the commercial, with Sidewinder missiles and other Javelin missile pods and stuff like that for close air support. So they ended up having to pay out a pretty sum for damages, or I don't know how it was determined, but false advertising. So, but anyways, to get back, and I've always said I should call my podcast I Digress. To get back, the Pepsi Points thing works fine. Like these reward programs where you go and you enter the thing under the cap, work fine. There's no need to blockchain it. You can do all these things with a centralized database, because at the end of the day, these ERC20 tokens or permission blockchains that they're using are the exact same thing. They're just adding a level of complexity so that they can catch a buzzword. So, with all that being said, buzzwords are important in marketing. That's why they're using it, but don't get too excited when you see these sorts of things. I didn't see any other real big stories. Oh, this was kind of neat. It's kind of a smaller thing, but I have been enjoying using Lolli, which is a way you can earn Bitcoin rewards. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, although at some point I would like to be. But it's a really neat thing. It doesn't work mobily yet. It doesn't work on mobile yet, but you get a extension for your browser. And see, like right now, I'm gonna log in, and once I log in, I log into Lolli, and then I can activate rewards. So I go to start shopping, and let's say I want to go to, is it Harry's Razor? So you go to I think this is Harry's Razor, and you go through their website, and you can get, for Harry's, it's between 4.5 to 27% back Bitcoin. And whenever you go to a website that offers it, like I think I was on H&R Block the other day, and it showed up and says, whenever you go to a website that offers it, a little pop-up comes up and goes activate, for H&R Block up to 16% Bitcoin back. You just click it, and it activates it for you, which is pretty cool. So it almost acts almost similar to a promo code. And when you go and you order whatever it is that you're going to order, it allows you to, it just does a promo. Once it sends the information from the company to Lolli, and once they verify after a certain period of time that you did buy it, you didn't return it or anything like that, it gives you your Bitcoin back, which is pretty cool. And where was it? Okay, so Postmates, which is a delivery service, and they, let's look here. So they're now, Lolli's now offering Bitcoin back through Postmates. So you can get food, drinks, groceries. You can get something like a Chipotle or Whole Foods or wherever you shop. I don't live in a place that has either Chipotle or Whole Foods. So, but if you live in a bigger area, you can get companies like that, 7-Eleven, whatever it is that you want. And Postmates is, it's kind of like Uber Eats or whatever, whatever you may be familiar with. They will go and pick it up. They deliver it to your house, and you pay a premium so that you don't have to leave your home. But with Lolli now, you can actually get Bitcoin rewards, and it's a very cool program. It's a way, for you to find. It's a way that you can find, ways to earn Bitcoin shopping where you already shop. And the last story that we will talk about is the White House issued 2 advisories on drug purchases. Purchases. I don't know why I can't talk tonight. In the U.S. on Wednesday, and the advisories addressed to both financial institutions and digital payment platforms state that basically they're saying crypto can and is used to buy these illicit substances like fentanyl on clear, deep, and dark nets, which I really find, they're issuing these advisories saying, well, be careful, right? You can buy fentanyl which, we need to end the fentanyl epidemic. And it's 80 to 100 times. So fentanyl is a painkiller. It's 80 to 100 times stronger than morphine. And it's amazing to me that, you're worried about the way people are going to buy fentanyl when this is a FDA approved, and it's a drug that's more addictive, more deadly than the previous painkillers that we already had an epidemic with. And then they release this thing onto the streets for people to, be prescribed, and then they wonder, like, it causes another epidemic. And then it's now, oh, well, be careful, Bitcoin can allow you to buy this thing that, that we've pushed out on into the markets. Also the fact that it's a Schedule 2. So if you don't know how drug schedules are, Schedule 1 is things that have no medicinal effect and are highly addictive. Schedule 2 is highly addictive but has some medicinal use. So, and just funny enough that marijuana is actually listed as being highly addictive and no medicinal effects, while fentanyl actually carries a lesser sentence. So, that's always fun. That's always fun. But yeah, so anyways, I just found that to be very interesting. I maybe shouldn't end this episode on such a sad note, but I guess it's not sad. It's just indicative. It should be important for us to recognize these recurring themes within Bitcoin. This was one in 2013 that was used to tar Bitcoin, and that it was used for dark markets and terrorism. And that kind of fell away as bigger institutions started to leverage Bitcoin and experiment with it a little bit. That has started to fall away, but it's still there. You'll still see these themes recurring, and I don't know how they will come back again. I don't know how. I have a feeling on how that's going to play out in the future, but I think that's going to be more tied to a Libra, a Libra or Libra-like currency that becomes the approved blockchain payment rail, and Bitcoin will, I think, be once again at some point attacked as the dark bad one, right? But that's just a feeling I have, and that's just kind of more of where I see things going. But anyways, we're running into 40 minutes now, so that's a long crypto recap for the week. So I hope you guys enjoyed these. I'm sorry if it was a little stilted. It was a little not as well organized as I would like. I'm basically I was going to try to put together a format, but I didn't want to try to make this in real format. I kind of want to jump in, just see how this feels, and see how it all came together, and see how I want to do this differently in the future. And I think I will. And this is going to be more of a freewheeling one, where with my interviews with people, I do a lot of research on those individuals, and I kind of go through, I kind of have a set list of topics that I want to cover, and I go through a lot of these conversations in my head before I talk to them, so I kind of have a good idea of where I want to go with the conversation. With this is going to be more freewheeling. I'm not going to be as structured, and I hope that you guys enjoy that a little bit. It's kind of a yin to the yang of the more structured interview segments that I do every Monday. So just hit me up on social, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just go to didyouknowcrypto.com. You can find the lists of all that, and you'll find where I'm at on Twitter. I'm most active there. It's at DUSTINDRY1ST. That's DUSTINDRY1ST. And like I said, you can find all my social media links there. Just stay tuned for all of my episodes. So I'll have another one dropping Monday, and this will be going on every Friday. And once again, for the last thanks, I'd like to give to eToro and their sponsorship of this podcast for the next 6 months, which was very generous of them and very good for them to trust, in a brand new podcasting, marketing, and sponsorship relationship. They are a great company for you to buy, sell, trade Bitcoin and other crypto assets, and also a great place for you to kind of learn watch the pros. You can look at what their allocations are. You can participate in discussions and strategy trading. Just go to didyouknowcrypto.com/eToro. That's didyouknowcrypto.com/eToro. And actually, my final thanks will be to you guys, all the people watching, listening, whether it's now or in the future. And I really appreciate you guys. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing any of this. I wouldn't have sponsors. I wouldn't be recording all the time. So feel free to reach out. I mean, I know that sometimes, you try to talk to other podcasters on social and reach out via email or comment or DM, and sometimes they don't get back to you. A lot of times it's just because they're busy. I will make time to talk to you. So if you take time to comment, if you take time to retweet, to give me your thoughts, I will give you my time to, return the favor. So just feel free, reach out at any time, and have a great night. Hope you're doing well, and we'll see you soon.